Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon.
I want to talk about what you spoke about today at the conference. Can you tell the people who watch us what exactly is the most important threat to this country in terms of national security?
Well, our panel focused on the internal threats, on the threats to our internal society, the friction inside it. And I think today many Israelis fear that we are going to some kind of split. We are becoming polarized, and that's something that is worrying us with regards to the future of our country. Can we continue to be a Jewish and democratic state? Can we balance these two values, or these two sets of values, and find a way to go forward together without having to choose either or between these values?
And when we talk about the values of a Jewish democratic state and the rift that is really growing between the secular and the religious, but that rift is not only in terms of Jews. We have the Arab Muslim community and the Christian community, and the rift there, is that growing as well between the secular Muslims and the religious Muslims, the secular Christians and the religious Christians? Is that also a threat to the cohesiveness of our society?
Well, when we look at it from the Israeli perspective, we really focus more on what's happening inside the Jewish community, and here you have the rift between the religious and the secular, between the right and the left. There is also a correlation between being religious and being on the right, but not necessarily. And we have the relationship with the Arab minority and how we, the Jewish sector of the public, how we view the Arab minority. We are less focused of what's happening inside the Arab minority. I think there too we see friction also around religious issues, but also around their identity, and as Arab Israelis, how much of it becomes a Palestinian identity which is divorced from the Israeli identity, or how can they continue being Israeli citizens and find a way to live with this internal tension. So we have that also within the Arab community, also around religion, but also again around national identity.
And when we talk about the Jewish identity, also when it comes to the army, there's been a lot of talk by very prominent rabbis, very prominent politicians, really telling their community, the religious community, not to serve in the army because of women, and that is causing a lot of uproar. What can you say about that?
I think the main message is that we cannot allow the extreme voices on both sides be the ones to we cannot have the discussion to focus on the extreme voices. We have to have the middle ground, find the middle ground between the moderates on both sides. So I think we see it also when it comes to religion and the role of religion in state. Those that are leading this, I would say, crusade against women in the army are the extreme voices within the religious society. They don't represent the majority of the religious Jews. And I think the challenge is really to say, we hear the extreme voices, but we are not going to focus on them. We have to find a way to balance those that have religious concerns, legitimate religious concerns, with those that have other concerns. But it cannot be that we will prefer one set of values on the expense of another set of values, and in this case it's a very basic set of values, because if we are pushing women aside, we are compromising the most essential, basic notion of democracy and of liberal values of freedom, of equality, of respect to women. And I think when we understand that that's what we're talking about, is in an issue of values, are we ready to compromise these values in order to answer for concerns of extreme people on the religious side, then we should say, no, that cannot be where the line goes. We have to find a way to speak to the moderates and find some kind of compromise that both sides can live with.
And what we see also within the values, the difference of values, there's one specific group that is really trying to stop Jewish and Muslims from marrying. And we've seen that in the past, and there are many of us who have friends that are in these type of relationships, but it's very rare, not something that you see that often here. Can you speak a little bit about that? What if that even is a threat to the society?
I think since it's really something that is so marginal, I don't see it as a threat to the society. I see those that are opposing it and using racist terms as a threat to the society. So I think we want to retain our Jewish identity, but a Jewish identity cannot be retained by hatred to the other, by pushing away from the other. And I think eventually, if we were seeing a trend where the Jewish nation is getting lost, everybody is marrying outside the Judaism, would say, okay, we have to do something to save it. But in Israel, that's not the situation, and I think we should live and let live. If someone falls in love with a Muslim, that's the right thing for them. We shouldn't interfere.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you.